Hey, welcome back to the vlog. I know it's been a minute. I took some time off to go down to Southern California. No, not to play poker, but I actually visited my daughter at college and I had a high school reunion. Yes, 40 years ago, I went to high school. Anyway, saw some old friends and some people I haven't seen in a very, very long time. It was good to catch up with everybody. It's amazing the stories and how their lives have turned out. And a couple of people thought my occupation was kind of funny too. Anyway, this session was from early October. I hope you enjoy it. Sit back, relax, enjoy. Here it comes. We are at Capital Casino buying in for the 1-3 game for $500. It is my favorite place to play. If you're in the area, come visit. First interesting hand comes 15 minutes into the session. I'm basically even. Have 8-9 suited, under the gun, open for a raise to 15. I get called from the player directly behind me, caller on the button, and one from the big blind. So we're going to go 4 ways to this flop with 61 in. Flop comes out Queen 10-6 with 2 spades. So none of my suit, but I do have a double gutter, so a jack or a7 will make me a straight. I lead out for $20. End up getting called by the player on my left and one from the button, and the big blind folds out. So really need a spike of 7 here, maybe even a jack. Turn is a jack of spades. So I make my straight, but it puts out a possible flush. And I decided to continue, see where I'm at. I bet 65, the player behind me folds, and the player on the button puts in a fairly quick call. So I'm pretty sure he has something. It could be something like a pair and a flush draw. Maybe he made 2 pair, or maybe he has a straight also. Anyway, 3 diamond looks like a pretty good blank. I'm going to try to go for some value. I'm targeting a 1 pair holding. So I bet $85, and he puts in the quick call, so he probably would have called more. I show my straight. He mumbled something about having 2 pair. Haven't been catching very many cards. Really slow day. When I find 6-4 hearts on the button in the limp pot, I decide to limp along because it's been over an hour since I really played a hand. So it's only $21 in the pot, and the flop comes out 2-5-10 with 2 hearts. So I got a flush draw and a gut shot, and it gets checked around to me. That's a green light for me to bet. I bet $15. I'll be happy to take it down here if nobody has anything. Everybody seems to fold except for the last player who puts in the call. So we're going to be heads up on this turn card, which is a 5 of hearts. So good card. I make my flush. I got a straight flush draw. I bet a little bit, and he quickly calls. The board is paired, so there are some dangers there. And when the river card comes as ace of hearts, I'm just going to surrender. He actually turned a bigger flush and played it very passively. Well, 2 hours into my session, I finally pick up a premium hand of ace-king on the button. I have one player who limped in, I raise, and only he calls. So heads up and with a very short stack, and I get a flop of king 5-7. So yeah, I flopped the world. He checks to me. I'm going to check it back, hoping he catches something or wants to bluff at it. Turn card's a 4. He fires his remaining $45 into the pot. Pretty easy call at this point. My opponent doesn't look too happy at this point. He kind of slumps back in his chair, folds his arms. Yeah, he looks like he got caught with his hand in the cookie jar, and my suspicions were correct when he turns over the 5-3 offsuit. Yeah. Good action here at Capital Casino. Another long drought of no cards. Finally, I look down at 2 6s from middle position. Open for a raise to 15. I end up getting 3 callers. So we're going to go 4 ways to this flop. Flop comes out 9-4 deuce, rainbow. So not bad, but this really shouldn't hit my range too hard unless I have an overpair. I decide to check it, and it gets checked around. Turn card comes as the beautiful 6 of diamonds. Can't ask for much more. Well, maybe you could ask for someone firing into you for $50. I decided to call here because I put this player on a very weak hand, and as long as the diamond doesn't come, he's going to fire as a bluff on the river because he's probably put me on some sort of flush draw. Unfortunately, a jack of diamonds comes on the river, and he postures for a second and then checks it over. Yeah, I fire. He folds very quickly. He had nothing. If a non-diamond comes on the end, he's going to bluff at it, and I'm going to win a bigger pot. Another very long draw to being card dead. Finally, I get 8-9 suited on the button. Call a raise to 15. We end up going 4 ways to this flop with 63 in, and we get a flop of 8-9-4. So we flop 2 pair, and I draw a heavy board. Yeah, chips are going to be going in, and they're going to go in kind of quickly. I have an opponent who bets $20. He is an aggressive opponent with a very large stack. He has almost 2,500 in his stack. Player to my right puts in the call. I put in a raise to 100. Looking back on this, I could probably go larger than that, but 100 seemed to be a good price. The player in the blind now calls the 100 cold, and so does the other player. And we get a turn of a 7 of clubs. So we have $383 in the pot, and I'm thinking the 7 of clubs brings in the obvious straight draw. So if a player had Jack 10, which is quite logical for someone to have at this point, I'm in deep trouble. But anything else, I have them basically crushed. So if they have a straight draw with a flush draw or a 2 pair, I'm pretty happy with my hand. First player checks, which I'm happy about. He probably doesn't have a straight. Next player bets out for $200. Now, I've played with him quite often, and I've seen him bet, well, he uses large blocker bets, I guess you would say. And I don't think he has a straight. If he did, I think he would really bomb it. He bets out 200, which is about half the pot. So I'm thinking he probably picked up an extra draw or something. So maybe he has a straight draw and a flush draw, or a pair and a flush draw. So I'm just going to jam. I think I'm best at this point. Hopefully I don't get snapped off right away. The player from +1 puts in a quick call. I tell him I have 2 pair. He says that he had king, jack of diamonds, and chose it. So he picked up a straight draw to go along with his flush draw. I dodged a lot of outs, with that combo draw. As you guys remember from my last session, I lost a big bomb pot when someone else had a big combo draw and got there. So today's a different story. They didn't get there. I double up and win a $1,580 pot, which is quite good because I've been grinding all day long without many cards, and I finally got a good spot to get my chips in, and I got rewarded for it. So after that hand, I decided to go. Played for over 4 hours, and it was a very long day. Didn't get very many cards, and I happened to finally have one good hand, and I got max on it. Came back the next day, sat in the same seat. Here I have ace-7 of hearts. It's been 2.5 hours. I've been completely dead. There's a $6 straddle, 1 limper. I raced a 35. I get called from the person in the big blind and the original limper, and I get a beautiful flop of ace-7-4. So a little bit of a light raise, trying to take advantage of my position. I get rewarded with flopping top 2. They both check. I bet out for $40. Hoping to get some action from someone with a ace. I get called in both spots. So really pleased about that. Until the turn card comes as a 5 of clubs. Puts up a bunch of potential draws. Don't really like that card at all. It does get checked to me. Person in the blind has about $300. The other person has about $50. I decided just to jam it all in. Make them pay the max if they want to draw. Person in the big blind decides to call it off rather quickly. The other player thinks about it for a while, saying that he has a ton of outs, so I'm pretty sure he has some sort of straight draw and flush draw. Just looking for a blank on the end. Well, after the player calls, we get to see a river card of a 5 of spades. Looks pretty damn good to me. I roll over my top 2 pair, and the big blind shows a set of 4s. So top 2 against bottom set, it's going to be ugly, and this time it went against me. Well, maybe I should have left after being card dead for a long time, flopping top 2 and getting it stacked. But the game was still good, so I reload for $500, sit for another half hour or so before finally picking up my first real premium hand of Ace-King offsuit. Player opens for 15, gets called for 15, and then a very solid, tight player makes it 65 to my direct right. Here I'm dying because I finally pick up a hand I can play, and I got a player to my right who is fairly snug, making a 3-bet. My frustration gets the better part of me, and I decide to 4-bet. I cannot call with this hand. If I call, it would be awful. I'll be inviting the other two players to come in with Ace-King offsuit. So for me, it's either a raise or a fold. And since I was frustrated and finally thought I had something that was a good enough hand to go with, I put in the raise. The players all fold back around to the player to my right, who shoves, and of course, I'm pot committed. I call off. He says he has a big pair. I said, well, I probably need an ace then, because when the queen comes on the board, I'm pretty much dead to pocket queens. He turns over pocket kings, and I do not catch an ace, so that's it for me today. So both days, I was really card dead. First day, I was able to hang in there long enough to finally pick up a big hand and double up. Second day, I thought I had my double up hand with that ace-7, but I got crushed. And then my tiltedness led to me losing the max with Ace-King. I really wish I could show you more hands, especially a few of them where I won. But basically, I was card dead for 2 whole days. And it's very frustrating, and it's hard to play well when you're card dead. But I figure as bad as those cards ran for me these last 2 days, I broke even. I'm happy with that. Anyway, I really do appreciate your support. Thanks for watching. And I promise the next vlog we'll get some more action for you. Until then, good luck at the tables.